Your half of the company is worthless now, Andrew said, sliding the quarterly reports across his mahogany desk. But don't worry, I'll buy you out for a generous $100,000. Consider it a parting gift. I stared at my husband of 7 years, remembering the exact moment I first suspected something was wrong. It had been 9 months ago, during a routine security audit of our company's systems. 9 months earlier, I was working late, as usual, running a new diagnostic algorithm I developed to track user access patterns across our network. As Swift Technologies founder and chief architect, I'd written most of our security protocols myself. The algorithm was just another layer of protection, or so I thought at the time. At 2 a.m., the program flagged something unusual, a series of access attempts to our core financial systems from an IP address I didn't recognize. Not unusual in itself, we dealt with attempted breaches regularly. What caught my attention was that the access was granted. Someone had high-level authorization. Maya, I called out, knowing my head of security would still be at her desk. She practically lived in the office, just like I did. Can you look at something? Maya Lin had been with me since the early days, when Swift was just 3 people working out of my garage. She understood our systems almost as well as I did. What's up, Sophia? She asked, leaning over my shoulder to look at the screen. These access patterns, they're from Andrew's credentials, but the timing is off. He was at the charity gala with me when these were logged. Maya frowned, her fingers flying across the keyboard as she pulled up additional logs. Want me to flag it? I hesitated. Andrew was my husband, my co-CEO. We'd built this company together. Well, technically, I built it and brought him in later, but that was semantics now. No, I said finally. Just keep an eye on it. Maybe it's nothing. But it wasn't nothing. Over the next few weeks, I noticed more discrepancies. Small things at first, unusual access times, strange patterns in our financial transfers, slight modifications to our security protocols that I hadn't authorized. I started keeping a private log, documenting everything. The investigator in me, the one who'd spent years hunting down software bugs and security flaws, couldn't ignore the pattern emerging. Then came the first client complaint. Ms. Chen, the email began, we've noticed some concerning issues with the latest security update. Our systems are showing multiple vulnerabilities that weren't present in previous versions. I spent 3 days analyzing the code, going through it line by line. The vulnerabilities were there, but they made no sense. They were too obvious, too clumsy. I would never have written code like that. That night, I did something I'd never done before. I accessed Andrew's private company email without his knowledge. We'd always maintained separate business accounts, respecting each other's autonomy in our respective areas of expertise. He handled the business side. I handled the technical side. It had worked perfectly for years. What I found made my blood run cold. Emails to Jessica Martinez, our lead developer. Make sure the vulnerabilities look natural. SC needs to believe they're coding errors. Increase the severity gradually. We need a pattern of technical incompetence. Transfer the modified code through my private server. Don't leave a trail. I closed the emails and sat in my dark office, my mind racing. Why would Andrew want to sabotage our code? Why make me look incompetent? The answer came 2 days later when I noticed large transfers being made to offshore accounts. Accounts I hadn't authorized, hidden under layers of seemingly legitimate business transactions. I called Maya to my office after everyone else had left for the day. I need your absolute discretion, I said, closing the door. What I'm about to tell you doesn't leave this room. I showed her what I found, the emails, the transfers, the deliberate code sabotage. Her expression grew darker with each revelation. He's setting you up, she said finally, making it look like your code is failing so he can force you out. Meanwhile, he's siphoning off funds before the company's value tanks. The question is why? I mused, though I was already piecing it together. And more importantly, how long has this been going on? Want me to dig deeper? I shook my head. No, if he realizes we're investigating, he'll cover his tracks. We need someone outside the company, someone he doesn't know about. That's how I found Rachel Chen, no relation, a forensic accountant specializing in corporate fraud. On paper, I hired her through one of our subsidiary companies to do a routine audit. In reality, she began meticulously documenting every financial transaction Andrew had made over the past 3 years. It's clever, Rachel admitted after 2 weeks of investigation. He's been building this for a long time, laying the groundwork slowly. If you hadn't caught those access discrepancies, it might have worked. How bad is it? She showed me the preliminary findings. Andrew had been systematically preparing to devalue the company, specifically my share of it. The code vulnerabilities were just the start. He had a complex network of fake clients, inflated expenses, and hidden accounts, all designed to make it look like my technical leadership had driven the company into the ground. Once the stock price drops due to the technical failures, Rachel explained, he'd swoop in with a lowball offer to buy your shares. Meanwhile, the real money is already safely hidden away. And since he handles all the business relationships, clients would believe him over me. I finished. The technical founder who couldn't keep up with industry changes. A story as old as Silicon Valley. I spent the next month watching, documenting, and planning. During the day, I played the role of the distracted technical founder, too busy with code to notice business matters. At night, I worked with Rachel and Maya, building a case so solid it would be impossible to deny. We discovered that Jessica, our lead developer, had been blackmailed into helping Andrew. He found out about some code she'd stolen from a previous employer and used it as leverage. That explained the obvious nature of the errors. She'd wanted them to be found. I approached her carefully, using Maya as an intermediary. Once she realized we knew everything, she broke down and confessed, providing us with detailed records of every interaction with Andrew. I never wanted to hurt you, she sobbed in my office after hours. He said he'd ruin my career if I didn't help him. I know, I said, sliding a non-disclosure agreement across my desk. And now you can help me make it right. With Jessica's cooperation, we began feeding Andrew exactly what he expected to see. More coding errors, more client complaints, more evidence of technical mismanagement. Every mistake was carefully crafted to look real while being completely documented as deliberate sabotage. Rachel, meanwhile, followed the money. Andrew had been clever with his transfers, but he'd made one crucial mistake. He used cryptocurrency for some of the transactions, believing it would be untraceable. What he didn't know was that I developed a proprietary blockchain tracking system as part of our security suite. He's getting careless, Rachel reported one evening. The transactions are getting larger, more frequent. He thinks he's winning. Let him think that, I replied, reviewing the latest batch of evidence. The more confident he gets, the more mistakes he'll make. The turning point came when Andrew hired an external consulting firm to evaluate our technical infrastructure. He thought he was bringing in independent experts to document my failures. Instead, he hired Digital Defense Solutions, a shell company I'd set up months earlier, staffed with security experts who owed me favors. Their report was exactly what Andrew wanted, a detailed documentation of technical failures and mismanagement. What he didn't realize was that every page was another nail in his coffin, linking each failure back to his own deliberate sabotage. Through it all, I maintained my role as the loving wife and dedicated coder. We still had dinner together most nights, attended industry events as Silicon Valley's power couple, smiled for photos, and gave interviews about working with your spouse. How do you do it? Maya asked one night after a particularly convincing performance at a tech gala. Act like everything's normal? I thought about the years I'd spent building Swift, the late nights and early mornings, the sacrifices and hard choices. Because this company isn't just about money or success, I said. It's about proving that someone like me, a woman, an immigrant, a technical person, can build something meaningful. And I'll be damned if I let anyone take that away, especially not someone who claimed to love me. The final pieces fell into place faster than we'd expected. Andrew, convinced of his imminent victory, began preparing to push me out. He scheduled a board meeting to discuss the company's technical leadership challenges. He had his lawyers draw up buyout papers. He even started moving personal items out of our house, though he thought I hadn't noticed. What he didn't know was that every board member had already received a detailed dossier documenting his fraud. Every lawyer he contacted had a conflict of interest because they'd already been briefed by my legal team. Every personal item he moved was photographed and logged as evidence of premeditation. The day he finally made his move, showing me those quarterly reports and offering his insulting buyout, I was more than ready. I had been ready for months. The company's valued at $60 million, I said quietly, keeping my voice steady despite the rage building inside me. My half is worth significantly more than $100,000. Was worth, Andrew corrected, his smile widening. Before your unfortunate coding errors caused us to lose our biggest clients. Really, Sophia, you should have let me handle the technical side from the beginning. That's when I pulled out my tablet and began dismantling his world, piece by carefully documented piece. The look in his eyes as he realized how completely he'd been outplayed made all those months of pretense worth it. The aftermath was swift and devastating, for him. The FBI arrested him that same day, leading him out of the office in handcuffs while reporters caught everything on camera. The board unanimously voted to remove him and return full control to me. The clients he thought he turned against me quickly returned when they learned the truth. But the real victory wasn't just in exposing Andrew's fraud or saving my company. It was in the lessons learned and the systems we put in place to prevent it from happening to others. 6 months later, Swift Technologies launched a new division specializing in fraud detection and prevention. Our first product was based on the very algorithms I used to catch Andrew, sophisticated pattern recognition combined with blockchain tracking and behavioral analysis. You know what the irony is? I said to Maya as we watched the product launch. If Andrew hadn't tried to destroy me, I might never have developed these security protocols. His betrayal literally helped me create our most successful product yet. Maya smiled. The best revenge isn't just about winning. It's about building something better from the wreckage. I finished. Today, a year after Andrew's arrest, I still run security audits late at night. Old habits die hard. But now, when I catch unusual patterns or suspicious activities, I think about how each potential threat is another opportunity to improve our systems, to protect others from experiencing what I went through. And sometimes late at night when I'm reviewing code, I think about Andrew sitting in his prison cell, realizing that his attempt to destroy me only made me stronger. That's the thing about revenge. When it's done right, it's not just about tearing someone down. It's about building something they never thought possible from the ashes of their betrayal.